24 hours has passed since this terrible mass shooting went down in Stockton, California. But there's something glaringly obvious that is missing from all of the news reports. Let's see if you can figure out what it is.
Developing overnight from California, where a manhunt is now underway. Authorities are searching for a gunman who opened fire at a child's birthday party in a banquet hall. At least 4 people are dead, 10 more are injured. This took place Saturday night in the central California town of Stockton. That's about a 45-minute drive south of Sacramento. Deputies arrived at the scene to find a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old among the injured. Early indications suggest this may have been a targeted incident. The FBI is now assisting. The mayor of Stockton is in tears, condemning the actions that has shaken this community.
This is when families come together, celebrate, share memories, give each other love. And unfortunately tonight, heaven is a little bigger with the individuals, children and adults that unfortunately did not make it. Stockton is better than this.
The county district attorney also addressing the public, saying whoever is responsible will be held to the highest extent of the law.
Tragedy of this nature is unthinkable, and it absolutely breaks our heart to have the loss of life and to have loss of life to children in our community. We are doing everything possible to bring the individual that's responsible for this to justice.
Now take a look at your screen. Investigators want you to have this number. If you have any information about what happened last night and a possible suspect, you are asked to call Stockton Crime Stoppers. That number right there on your screen, 209-946-0600.
Hall was packed with up to 150 partygoers.
Our #1 priority is ensuring that we locate all evidence, that we do not leave one stone unturned, and that they gather all information possible to locate the suspect.
Please take a look at your screen. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the Crime Stoppers number. It's on your screen again. It's 209-946-0600. Back out here live in Stockton, Mayor Fugazi going on to say that right now, anyone who will give any information that will lead to the arrest of the suspect and or suspects, that reward sits at $25,000.
All right. After witnessing all of those news reports, and there are many, many others, that's just a small sampling, what did you notice that was glaringly obvious, that was missing from every one of these reports? Well, if you guessed the identity of the shooter, then you guessed right. Something is wrong with this picture, and it has me seriously confused. Now, is there a valid reason why we're not giving the description of the shooter? In fact, there was only one news report that had a description, and that description was, it was a male who was 5'9" and wearing black pants. Now, how many men do you think are running around Stockton, California that are 5'9" and wearing black pants? How are you going to have a statewide manhunt looking for the individual who gunned down all these people, ending the lives of 4, 3 of which were children, based on that description, 5'9" and black pants? In fact, they're even putting a reward out. It was $25,000 on one of the news reports that you just saw, but recently they upped the reward to $50,000. They want everyone to chip in and help out without a description of the shooter. So was the shooter black? Maybe the shooter was white. Was the shooter Hispanic? Did the shooter look like he was a member of a gang on the East Coast? Nobody knows because no one is saying. So let me ask you this. Is this where we've come to this point in this country, that guarding against racial profiling is more important than the lives of human beings? Is that what it's come to? And is that the reason why they're not really wanting to release the identity of the shooter? Now, of all the people that were there, can you sit here and convince me that there's not one individual that had more information other than black pants and 5'9"? I'm not buying it. Not for one single minute. So that leaves me to believe that there's no other reason other than the fact that they don't want to racially profile, because that goes against the grain of what California is all about. Now, you might say, well, where's your evidence? Well, I'll throw it back into your court. The evidence is on TV every day. We watch it every single day. What do you see on television? ICE protests. Yep, that's right. Antifa protests, Antifa supporters, people who are part of the whole No Kings rallies. What do they say? They complain that the ICE raids are targeting people who are of black and brown skin. In fact, they had a court ruling where I believe that the circuit courts put a temporary restraint on ICE for going out and identifying people or putting out descriptions that are based on race. And that got overturned by the Supreme Court. Now, people screamed, that's racist, but it was overturned. So how else are we supposed to identify someone who is on the run, who's committed a heinous crime, if we can't describe what the individual looks like? And the question that I have for you, is it racist to mention the ethnicity or the race of an individual who is on the loose like this killer? Or is it helping people to identify that person so law enforcement can capture them and get them thrown in jail where they belong? I'd love to hear your comments about that. And if you think that the ICE protests have gone too far, where we have arrived at this point where it's more important to fight against racial profiling than to stop heinous crimes like what you saw in all these news reports. Now, as of right now, we still don't have a description. I'll be patiently waiting and watching the news to see if they finally come out and tell us what the racial identity was of this shooter. But share in the comments below. Tell me, am I off base by thinking that this is being purposely withheld? Or do you agree 100% based on what we've seen in the news every day that ICE protesters don't like it when we identify people based on race? I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe. And that's all we have for this edition of The Raw State.